The Tangent 8 podcast is aimed at a mature audience. It contains themes that are not appropriate for all listeners. It's important to note that we are not experts. We routinely have no idea what we're talking about and are just three idiots sitting around a table. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Tangent 8 podcast, and I'm not gonna lie, I am really freaking tired. Work has been kicking my ass 8 ways to Sunday, so I am kind of hoping that Swoosh and John Doe are here to bring it, because I've got nothing. Oh boy.
See, I've just been surviving the hyper flu that's been going around, which is great. Thankfully not COVID, which is even more fun.
I'm surviving there being no bosses at work and dragging the chain. Just trying to get through it all.
So there's no oversight in a winery.
No, there's no winemakers to give jobs. So there's 20 people standing around going, what do? We
drink!
There's 7 jobs for 20 people, so we have to try and make our way through it.
Fair. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Find something to do and pressure wash the floor.
Yeah. I mean, that is a really fun and satisfying thing, though. Like, just pressure washing anything.
It can be. You get a nice black build-up on the side of tanks. You stand there with a pressure washer, you draw a little picture, and then go through, paint the whole thing in, and go to the next tank. Yeah. Do that for 8 hours. It can pass a day pretty well. And listen to a lot of audiobooks anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like we haven't been sending loads of them to you.
No, and I've been working my way through them. They've been bloody good. That Blue Wolf is a good one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I thought you would like it. Like I said, you said you liked the more military style stuff, and that just adds a little bit of fantasy to it. I love Dabu.
Yeah, the whole setting for it was really cool.
I mean, you got through the first Monster Hunter International as well. Did you end up getting the second one?
It's on my playlist, but then I started listening to Blue Wolf, and then I was already halfway through another book, so I thought I'll just step back to that, and then I got absorbed into that again. So I'm like partway through 2 books at the moment, and meaning to go back to a third book. So it's, where the hell do I stop and start?
See, I blame you guys entirely for the fact that I have picked up Audible. So that's a thing that's happened in the last couple of weeks. So I'm listening to Mythos by Stephen Fry.
Oh, so good.
I hear good things.
It's wonderful. The way he tells it, it sounds like a really fun story, and I like it. I
do want to do that one.
Yeah, the way he talks as well. I've just been setting it to 45 minutes and go to sleep. So I get to go to sleep. This happens Stephen Fry narrating a great book.
The way he tells it, it's just like a story he's reading out of a book, not an entire culture's religious belief.
Yeah.
Which is it's amazing. Makes it a lot more accessible.
It really does. Like, the way he breaks it all down, and it's interesting. But it's also the same way he does everything else, but it jumps around, it's kind of sporadic. And then they had this child, who will come into it later. Like, ooh, what's going to happen?
His next book, Heroes, is in the very same vein, but more the demigod's children and how they fit into the whole thing. So Hercules and everywhere from there. It's really cool.
Ooh, that's good. So basically, all the random animals and people that Zeus has fucked.
Yeah, all of Zeus's children, the whole menagerie of species and races.
Fun times.
I'm still trying to, I've almost finished Mercenary for Hire from the Black Ocean stuff. That's not been bad. It's had some ups and downs, and I will admit the back half has been more entertaining than the front half. Did you finish that one, John Doe?
Again, another one I've started, and I think I'm 3 or 4 books into like the 90-something hours. And
I know,
so
right?
I'm like maybe 20 hours into it, 16 to 20 hours in, and I had to have a break.
That's fair. I mean, like, I've got my palate cleanser lined up straight for after it. Like, I've been reading this super hopeful, like, Esper's going around the galaxy trying to right the wrongs and do the good things and all that kind of stuff. And the next book I have queued up is about the death corp of Krieg.
Nice.
It's like, so what am I going from hopeful space stuff to the most horrible planet to live on in 40k?
Yeah. I have a question, though, because the title was Mercenary for Hire, right?
Yes.
What kind of shit mercenary isn't for hire? Like,
One that does it for fun.
yeah. But like, I don't know why, but that stuck in my head for a second there. It's like, mercenary for hire. Like, they are by definition for hire.
Mercenary for
Did no one in the editing process ever mention this to the author? You do know that they're always for hire, right? Like, show up and go away.
I'm not for hire, I'm only for long-term personal contracts.
It's actually
I'm for lease.
It kind of makes sense for Esper though, because in the book she doesn't always work for the person who's paying her. Like the first person sends her to get her daughter back, and it turns out eventually that Esper was taking the money but had basically no intention of ever returning her. Her goal was to help the daughter because she's the one that Esper thought needed help. So, yeah, she's for hire, but that doesn't mean she's working for you.
I'm for hire.
like
I'm
that.
for hire. My moral obligations are not.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Well, I feel like we should move on to... Well, I mean, like, there's your weekly book club.
We do happen to do that a lot. Like,
Yeah, well, what can
we
I say?
like books.
Yeah, pretty much. So we just had the Star Wars celebration for this year, and we got the big list of like the big ticket things that were announced or anything to do with Act That One. And I'm just going to run down the list real quick. So we've got, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi's out. We'll talk about it a little later in the podcast. We've
I
got
have
feelings
things to say.
Yes, I know you do, Swoosh. You've been very vocal about that. We've got the release date for, well, not quite the release date, the release month for the next season of Mandalorian, which I'm very much looking forward to, and that's coming out in February 2023.
More Mando will be good.
We've got 2 new series, Tales of the Jedi and Andor, which are interesting. We don't quite know much about either one yet. We did just get the trailer drop for Andor, though, and it looks a little more kind of like the vibe Rogue One was doing, but didn't commit to. So
Yeah.
we'll have to kind of wait
Slightly
and see.
darker and the underhanded tactics that any rebellion has to use.
If
Yeah.
they don't go into how many Bothans die to do anything, I'll be sorely disappointed.
I still maintain that was a typo. I love the Tag and Bink version of that.
Yes.
Which was like, Manny both hands. It's like, Manny both hands died for this information. It's like, oh right, so it's like a fuzzy line. So it gets, there's like, many Bothans died.
I sent them to get coffee. So many Bothans died.
Of course, we heard a little bit more about Ahsoka, which is, of course, looking to be very good, and Ahsoka's kind of a fan favorite, so I think everyone's kind of looking forward to see what she's got coming out, and that's slated for 2023 as well.
They're sticking with the samurai vibe for her.
Yeah, I
We've
hope
got
so too.
Mando. Yeah, Mando's doing the cowboy thing, and she's
Yeah.
doing the Ronin samurai kind of things. Like you've found those two things you merged together really well originally, and you split them apart and working on them like well and truly. Like I like this.
Yeah, I mean the episode where they had them both together, like she's in the palace fighting the girl with the Beskar spear,
Yeah.
and they're having their real like, you know, wire fu fucking duel, and then out in the street, Mando's out there having a quick draw fight. It's like,
Yeah.
man, this juxtaposition is great.
It was great. I loved that.
Next up, we're getting another round of Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
Excellent.
I quite liked Visions. I mean, some of them were a bit too kiddie for my liking. Like, the guy who was like, I am just gonna absolutely rip off Astro Boy was a little like, come on.
Yeah.
But there were other ones in there that were amazing. I mean, Trigger's one was great. I still really like the black and white one with the lightsaber umbrella. Which
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was fun.
I was into it. I was
was
absolutely happy for that one.
I'd like it if they could make a few of those a little more canon, not just out there one-shots. If they tied a little bit more into it, because some of them were pretty wild. They're like, holy shit, that is really cool. If that could actually be part of the universe, not just in an alternate universe.
Yeah, I was like not all of them centered around just a Jedi. It was other things going on. Like I like seeing the expanded universe of Star Wars. Like yes, Jedi and Sith are a thing. Neat, you've established that. Show me a bunch of smugglers doing a run. For fuck's sake, I want to see something like that. It'd be great.
See, the only problem with like canonizing stuff like Visions is then you'd have to be able to actually go, okay, we have to canonically accept that you can connect a lightsaber to the jump drive of an X-Wing and then cut a ship in half with it.
I would so watch that movie, though. God damn.
Yeah, I mean...
like, give the fans what they want.
They've already canonized the fact that you can suicide bomb with a frigate, and for some reason the Rebellion wasn't doing that. All you need is a hyperdrive in a bulky enough ship, and you can take out a dreadnought.
Like,
why was no one doing? Why wasn't the Empire doing that?
They completely made the Death Star obsolete immediately in one scene.
Yeah. If anyone can do this, why do you need a Death Star? All you need is just a big ass block of iron and a jump drive.
Because he's providing jobs, Swoosh. That's what it is. He's providing jobs to build a Death Star. He's helping the economy. He's a good bloke.
No, that's true. And then the rebels came up and killed him.
The universe was significantly more stable under the Empire.
Yeah, very much so.
And canonically, it was like flourished a bit. It's
technically, he did bring balance. There were thousands of Jedi and only 2 Sith, and now there's fuck all Jedi. So he balanced those scales a little bit.
More and more Jedi keep showing up having not been killed by Order 66.
Well, they're sort of weeds. Every time they pop a head up, you got to take them off. Get that lawnmower in there.
Pretty much. The weed killer, that is Vader.
And speaking of that stuff, we're getting another they've confirmed and shown the trailer for the next season of The Bad Batch, which I am super into. I love The Bad Batch.
I enjoyed that first season like immensely. It's great. But it was like the same mob who did Rebels, I think?
Yeah. Rebels and Clone War, it's all the same group.
Yeah. And I liked all their stuff. It was great. Rebels started off being like, it's a kid's show. And then it started getting dark.
The thing I hate about Rebels is Ezra has the best saber and then gets rid of it.
Yeah, he has the blaster saber, so it's a...
Yes, it's a gun with a saber blade.
It's like switches between them, and I liked that. And then it's like, oh no, you have to grow up and just have a lightsaber. Like, fuck you. Keep your weird individual lightsaber. Like, the hell with the Jedi Order.
When you got into like the crossguard block thing that happens in like every sword fight that ever happens, imagine getting into that and just being like, and I shoot you with a stun bolt.
Well, they gave it to the Master Kanan in one of the fights, and that's what he exactly did. I liked that.
It was so cool. I loved it. And then they're just like, no, he's got to have a normal one. Fuck you. Yeah. He needs to have a normal one. Although, speaking of guys with like weird lightsabers, we got the trailer for the next follow-up to Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm not going
I need to replay that game. Like, that was a great game.
Yes, it was. I'm not sure how they're going to depower you for this one, although I do have a theory. I get the feeling you'll probably play a little bit of the game as, like, full power. And then in the trailer, they show some unknown Sith beating him up and taking his sword away. I get the feeling that's where they're going to use to depower you so that you aren't just a death machine.
Yeah.
And in the next scene, though, what's interesting, though, is they show him with just blasters. So we might actually get blaster combat from the main character this time.
That'd be fun.
A Jedi John Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Jedi Gun Fu. That would be so awesome.
Like, the thing is, like, the only
reason they killed my Wookiee. I must kill everybody.
Why don't Jedi use other weapons, though? Like, it's like, oh, we have a sword that cuts through things. That's cool and all. But legitimately, give this guy a bunch of guns and see what happens. Like, why are we restricting you to just a sword?
By the same token, they don't make a lightsaber 10 foot long. You can stand back and just wiggle it and sort out a whole heap of problems.
There doesn't seem to be a range on how far they can go.
No.
Just like ramp that thing up. Like, cool. Poke. It's like laser pointers in airplanes. The reason you can't play with them outside. Like that with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else for Star Wars coming?
I mean, other than that, it's mostly miscellaneous stuff we don't have a huge amount of info about. I mean, there's the, what is it, Light and Magic, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, the High Republic stuff, and then just a whole lot of miscellaneous announcements.
Skeleton Crew is an interesting title. Like, that would have to be like a long run frigate or something, I think.
Maybe.
Maybe it's like a prison break. It's a skeleton crew of guards.
And I mean, like, because this is LucasArts, and all that, we got the teaser shot for the new Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were doing another one.
I mean, Harrison Ford's coming back to play him, so...
I mean, would we accept anyone else? Because the only other person they ever had lined up for that was Shia LaBeouf, and that got dumped
Weird.
pretty hard.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say it was him. It was the movie itself that got dumped pretty hard.
Yeah,
He
Crystal
wouldn't have been
Skull
great,
was pretty
but-
terrible.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been great, but that movie itself shot it in the foot long before they got a launch pad for any sequel.
Yeah. So what is it this time? Escape from the retirement home, or?
The quest for more meds.
It'd be him trying to break into a retirement home so that, you know, the artifact can be in a museum.
Yeah, true. That'll work.
He gets
All I
kidnapped.
want is that if it's, because I'm assuming it'll be the last one for Harrison Ford before he passes the torch on or something, just for someone to yell that man belongs in the museum at some point, I'd be happy.
Great. That would be good. That's pretty much it for the celebration of it. Like I said, there's a bunch of miscellaneous other stuff. But yeah, they're like the big like hit point ones that I think are important. Yeah, it's some good shit. I'm looking forward to what we got coming down the pipe.
We're finally getting out of that slump during the year where content just wasn't coming out.
Jesus Christ, there's so many TV shows I've got to freaking watch. Fuck.
Yeah.
I can't
There's
keep
a lot
up with
coming.
what's already out there, let alone any more. Jeez,
Yeah.
I've
A
got
bunch
too
of
many
stuff-
games to play.
Oh, fuck. I've
So
still got to
many
put out
games.
my fucking games for next month video. Ugh. Although it's a little trim game-wise.
No,
pretty
but it's the
sure
back
that-
catalogue that came out in the last few months.
Oh yeah, no. The back catalogue is long and eternal.
The back catalogue is real.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. Although, like, there is, like, one game that I'm, like, super excited for. Where the fuck is it? I can't find when it's fucking coming out. The Quarry. That I am looking forward
Oh,
to
yes,
so
I
much.
saw something of that pop up. I didn't look too far into it, but is that the same guys who did Until Dawn? Mm.
Yes. So they've been doing those Dark Picture anthology ones, which have apparently, like, I haven't played them all, although from what I understand they got better as they went along. They seem to sort of dial into whatever vibe they were looking for. But the Quarry is the next big full-length, just like Until Dawn game they're doing.
Nice.
So I'm pretty keen for that.
I'd be keen for that one. I really enjoyed Until Dawn. That was a great game.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
it was.
how there's a resurgence of like B-grade horror movies, like the old camp horror movies that are really coming back in game form, like because they were massive through the 90s and early 2000s, and then they just disappeared. Like,
Yeah.
there were so many, and I'm glad they're actually sort of coming back a little more and being a little more visceral.
I like that they're coming back and are bringing along with them the point-and-click genre.
Yeah.
That is true. We're getting some weird merging of things, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, very much so. I'm super into it.
Like, that's probably where that genre will end up, I think, because, like, it's... The movies were always fun. You always go back and rewatch those campy horror movies. They're great fun. And they were very straightforward formula. Big, scary thing turns up and starts hunting people down. Survive. It works as a game more than a movie. Like, pretty well.
I'd like a game version of Cabin in the Woods where like the characters turn up and depending on what they do in that cabin depends on what starts hunting them. That would be awesome.
That would be pretty fun.
So,
that would be great.
And you don't know which character is going to trigger which monster because there's like quite a few little triggers there. So they divvy up and someone turns a key and opens a music box while someone else is looking into a lake and you don't know which one's going to hit you. That would be awesome.
Well, see, the thing that would work the best about that is actually because of that company's design philosophy with multiplayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you played any of them that way. The basic idea is, like, if two characters are split up, there'll be, like, a story going on at the same time. When they run the multiplayer, they have you playing those sequences at the same time. A really good example is from the first Dark Pictures game, where there's two characters that are swimming around a shipwreck and two characters up on a boat. The characters up on the boat are trying to use the barbecue, but they fuck it up and the gas bottle explodes. The player underneath, on the other hand, who's just swimming around in the ocean, just sees the boat explode. So they have to make choices based on the limited information they have about what the fuck did just happen on the boat. So if you had a setup where, like, you could get random extra triggers that you don't know about, that the other player triggered while you weren't even watching, that would be very interesting.
That would be pretty fun, actually.
That would be very, very cool.
That I would be keen to play through that. That'd be interesting.
Well,
right, make this. Someone, please.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the studio does eventually.
Yeah.
Slightly getting away from stuff we like to stuff we absolutely fucking despise. The new Nuno Kuni game, Crossworlds, that just released on mobile, is doing the NFT thing.
Yeah.
And doing it poorly. They're going completely play to earn, but in doing that, you then need to transfer it into several different variations of token before you can then transfer it into an NFT to then spend on anything in store.
And that is so many steps of, like, this is a kids game, right?
Oh, they're also taking a cut out of
tokens.
every step of it.
Oh, of course.
So you transfer to one token, you lose a bit, and another token, you lose a bit more, and eventually you get to an NFT where they take their own little healthy little percentage out of that, and you can still buy everything, including the top-end content from the beginning of the game with the NFTs that you then go out and purchase with your own real money. So all they're chasing is a few whales to burn all the cash and screw anyone else.
Jesus Christ, that is horrible. Why? I mean, like, at the same time, it's a mobile game, so you expect some in-game purchases, but I swear mobile games are where any franchise goes to die. That and racing games. Every time.
Yeah.
But they can at least come back from a racing game. Like, you can still pull back, kind of, from a racing game. Like, look at, my brain just died. Not Banjo-Kazooie.
They did do a racing game, and they died.
Yeah, they died horribly from the racing game.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot pulled back, yeah.
And Sonic, the Sonic Racing.
I don't know if Crash pulled back.
Their new release did pretty okay. The new remake.
Yeah, and then it got fucking shredded.
Yeah, true.
People were like, oh my god, Crash Bandicoot, not oh my god, this game is good.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it was more nostalgia than a decent game. There was Sonic Racing, and then there were a few newer games released after that, which did alright, and then to completely change genres.
I don't think Sonic's ever recovered from the internet. The internet did some horrible things to the Sonic franchise.
He's still sitting in a corner scrubbing. He just can't get the internet off his skin.
It'll never go away. It's there forever now.
That being said, Sonic Mania was very good.
Yeah. That is true.
Although I am not particularly happy with the new Sonic game that's going to be coming out that has lots of weird microtransaction bullshit in it.
Is he a werewolf again as well? Because let's do that again.
So they did a remake of Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles and Sonic CD on the Sonic Mania engine so that it runs really well. But they included a, like finishing stuff will get you coins. I don't know why it wasn't rings. I mean, come the fuck on. But
if they wanted something better than rings, it could have just been emeralds. I mean, fuck, they had so many options apart from coins.
but they used coins, and there's some kind of like in-game shop for like unlocking music tracks and stuff like this. It's like, why? Why are you putting this fucking shit in here? It has no reason to be here. It's really, really dumb.
Money. That is why. I like money.
But people get money out of people for things that they can at least enjoy. This is not something that's going to make the game any better or more fun. It's just needless bullshit.
Well, at least they don't have friggin' cosmetics in it where you get to slightly change one of the spines on his back or change the colour of his shoes and charge a shit down through the nose for that.
At least they didn't do what Halo did at one point, and was it Blood Gulch? To get that in one, I think it was Halo 3, you had to pay extra. They had it as a downloadable map only you had to pay for. That was a dick move.
I mean, it's hard because, like, a lot of games do that. If they get an iconic map, it becomes a way to sell a DLC pack.
Well, this wasn't even a DLC. It was just like, you want that map? No, $10. It's like, guys, come on. Just because it's the one we always played, and then we bought it, and we caved to their pressure.
Every iteration of COD's got their iconic map that they bring out as a pre-order bonus, whether it be Nuketown or any of the others that I don't remember because I never played Nuketown.
I only remember Nuketown.
I assume there's a nuke in there somewhere.
It's set in like Nevada where they tested all the nukes.
Okay, yeah.
But each iteration of the game, depending on the setting, so I think it first appeared in Black Ops, so it was actually pretty close to how it was set up with the 2 buildings and 2 buses and mannequins all over the place. And then another Black Ops game that had a change to it that made it feel a little different, like it's sort of hard to explain it, but they changed the aesthetic of it with each iteration with the theme of the game, and they slightly update it, but the core map itself is identical every time with a slight change on the sideline.
If you change like the graphics and just upgrade it each time, that'd be fine, but the one thing I would want is just occasionally 1 or 2 of the mannequins move. Shift ever so slightly.
Or just every now and again a mannequin comes to life and kills the nearest player and then go back to still. Like that would be great. The angels in Doctor Who, like
no one would ever believe them either. Just like 1 in 100 games.
Like, I swear this happened. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you did.
And the kill feed just shows some random player shooting someone else somewhere else on the map.
A magic bullet taking them out.
I would also accept every now and then, randomly, every mannequin on the map just turns to look at one player.
Yes.
Oh, that would be a good one, actually. That'd be great.
Well, I feel like we need to shift into what is going to be a somewhat extensive spoiler section. My apologies, but we'll keep it a little light for the first one, which is, I think we need to talk about Kenobi. Hell yeah. Yay. Oh, you're a bit lukewarm on it, Swoosh.
I mean, like, I enjoyed aspects of it. I really enjoyed McGregor as Kenobi. He plays a grumpy old bastard Jedi really, really well. My issue comes with... It's the same issue I had with Gotham, where they're shoehorning in tiny versions of the more popular characters, or the other ones.
I didn't really hate their young Leia. Like, that kid...
She talks like a middle-aged therapist.
Yes, she does.
It annoys the shit out of me. A 10-year-old should not speak that way. At all. They're also trying to set up the whole thing of her having Force abilities without having Force abilities. Because there's that where she's running through the woods and somehow shunks under a tree, and it's like, that was clearly CG and a Force ability. What the fuck?
Or to me, reading her cousin of, like, I'm going to read you down to a T and absolutely cut you to ribbons, and then 20 minutes later, what? I don't know who you are. I'm not going to trust you. That sort of frustrated the hell out of me. Like, set a rule and then stick to it.
See, I didn't see either of those things as a Force power use, so neither one of them bothered me.
Fair. But it's like, it's the same issue I have with Gotham, where it's like tiny Batman and tiny Catwoman. It's like, I don't care. This was meant to be something we had that didn't involve the Skywalker family for once. Can we just move away from them? No, I'm not. I left. But I just want to remove the Skywalkers from Star Wars at this point. They've had their time. We get new things now.
Look, you weren't going to be able to do Kenobi without the Skywalkers being involved. Like,
to a point, but...
That just wasn't going to happen. we've got stuff like Ahsoka and the fuck. We were just talking about all that stuff. Like all that stuff is your not Skywalker stuff. You were never gonna clear a Kenobi show without the Skywalkers being involved.
I was fine with it being the distant thing where he was like just keeping track of Luke on the farm. That was fine. I didn't give a hell about that. But it's when he's like, oh, it's now I have to go and kidnap Leia, and she's going to be around the entire season. I'm guaranteeing it. It's just
she'll be the new Grogu.
Yeah.
I just don't hate her that much. Like I've seen way more annoying kid actors playing way shittier characters.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I don't hate the character. It's just one of those things that it sets me off and it's kind of annoying where it's just like, why? You talk like an adult, but you're 10 and you're just small and stop. Just write kids as kids or leave them out of it. Like, why are you making this tiny child a therapist?
Because if you write a 10-year-old as a 10-year-old, they're more annoying.
No, that's true.
She would be infinitely more annoying if she was written like a 10-year-old. Yeah, she might talk like a therapist, but it makes her tolerable.
To a point.
And the child they actually chose to get to say those words says them pretty well. There's definitely way worse that could have gone than what they actually did.
Yeah.
And I believe he actually comments on it, how she doesn't sound like a normal child. Yes. After he rescues her, he's like, so at least they acknowledge it, that it's not just a 40-year-old in a 10-year-old's body.
That I'm fine with. But it's just like, I don't know why, but it just irks me that watching the entire series. I do like where certain things are going.
Oh, look, I love the idea that Kenobi's, like, he's weakened with the Force because he hasn't used it for 10 years. I thought that was a great idea. It's like, it's not the whole, like, I cut myself off from the Force. It's just like, oh, my Force muscles have atrophied.
It's also weird, like, little things like he immediately goes and gets the lightsaber. Why?
No. The thing I thought was dumb was he goes and gets the lightsaber knowing full well if he ever uses it or someone sees him with it, he's fucked. He also knows the Inquisitors are in town, so he wears it on his hip.
And straight out flashes it. Like just, whoop, here it is. Come get me.
Yeah, when he's getting on the ship at the end of the first episode. It's I'm just going to put this in my pocket, showing the lightsaber to the world. Like,
back holster or something if you still want to take it with you so that your coat will always cover it. But, like, why on the hip? It's so dumb.
I would have honestly preferred it had he just gone out with a blaster and they would have left the lightsaber for, like, a big reveal at the last point. Like, the big jewel at the end.
Yeah.
That would have been great.
I think the problem is he's not going to get back to Tatooine until the end of the movie. So they wouldn't have had... Oh, not movie, the series. So he wouldn't have had a chance to go back and get it.
Yeah.
And they kind of lampshaded it when he told the other kid, like, go out into the desert, bury your saber, forget it.
Yeah.
I did quite enjoy they had the throwback to a clone trooper saying that help a veteran. Like, still with
that was pretty fun.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like, there were definitely aspects of that show I enjoyed, but...
look, production-wise, like, holy crap, they're making new aliens. They're not even just recycling all the ones we've already seen. There's so many practical alien effects in this fucking show. It's like, Jesus Christ, how is this considered a TV show?
I'm actually really glad they're doing proper effects again. They haven't gone straight back to CG, and it's like, please, just keep the CG out of it as best you can. Star Wars worked best when you had puppets. Like, yeah. Muppets are great.
A Muppet Star Wars would be gold. I'd happily go back. I'd go back to happily watching Skywalkers if it was all Muppets.
Yes,
pretty much. No, what I want, it popped up online years ago, but I want a Muppet D&D movie.
Ooh,
where it's just the Muppets playing D&D. You make it live action, so when they're actually fighting as things, it's like random actors doing it all. So you have, like, I don't know, Chris Hemsworth running around being voiced by Kermit, like dubbed over with Kermit the Frog.
So as the Muppets as the players, or the D&D world, or have the people who actually do the voices of the Muppets playing D&D, and in their mind's eye of the world around them is the Muppet characters.
Either could work, but I want to see the Muppets playing D&D and actual people, like, acting it out. That'd be great.
Yeah, no, I think it would work much better that way, because then you can have some, like, massive disconnects. Like, you could have, like, oh, here's the barbarian played by Jason Momoa, voiced by Miss Piggy.
No. You make the barbarian Beaker.
Yes!
Or Animal. Either one of those would work fine.
No, I like Beaker, because, again, you'd want some dude who's, like, absolutely huge. Again, your Momoa or your,
like the Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah.
And just going, meep.
Now, you'd have Animal as the
That
bard.
shouldn't be good.
You walk into the tavern, and it's like, he pulls out his instrument and, rah, and just goes fucking ham.
Yes. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Although,
last you see of
one
that
could argue
character is Animal walking out through the tavern doors with all the chicks like just wrapped around him. Just Animal's gone.
That would be actually. There is someone who would be perfectly fit to play Animal, but his name has escaped me.
I feel like whoever played it, they'd have to play a monk for Miss Piggy just so she could walk around karate chopping people.
Yeah. Oh, get the there's a chick who's been great for a while. Actually, no, get Dave Grohl to play Animal.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
As a bard. He's got the hair for it.
Yes.
I would pay to watch that movie. Not gonna lie.
There are so many genres or movies that could be redone as Muppets and be instant classics.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I want to see more of that.
Even keep the exact same script, run through the same thing, just throw Muppets at it.
Yeah.
Our generation would happily watch that.
Oh, with that question.
Shawshank Muppet Edition. I would watch the shit out of that.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Oh, that'd be perfect.
All I can imagine is the giant black guy as Rolf.
Yeah.
Oh, Rolf.
Hell,
I don't know why my brain just immediately made him Rolf.
But they did, was it the most recent Muppet movie was the Haunted Mansion. That was pretty fun.
That one felt a little like we just wanted to do something with the Muppets. Not necessarily do something good with the Muppets.
Maybe they just wanted to make sure like they didn't fall into public domain and had to make a movie.
Maybe, or they'd return rights to some... I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I watched it. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. On that subject, though, did you notice that Winnie the Pooh has gone into public domain?
Original Winnie the Pooh. So, red shirt Winnie the Pooh is not clear. That's still Disney. It's the original story that he was made from. Yeah, the original story has now hit public domain, and there is a horror movie based on Winnie the Pooh coming. No, I'm gonna watch that. It's gonna be bad. I'm gonna watch so much of it. I've only seen like one still from it, and it looks horrible, but I want to see it. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but Winnie the Pooh. I fucking know, right? It's gonna be real dumb.
It's gonna be hilarious.
I'm curious if it's going to be like bloke in a Winnie the Pooh mask as well as a story, or whether it's actually anthropomorphic creatures from the beyond that just come out and cause havoc. I'm curious which way they're going to go with that.
Maybe it's going to be like the anthropomorphic versions of them running around trying to kill Christopher Robin, since they're each meant to display a certain kind of psychosis or a certain kind of mental illness. I mean, that doesn't really hold up once you really try, because most people just start with Eeyore and go from there. And Eeyore's low-hanging fruit. The first half second of the movie is Eeyore just shotgun, bam, gone. God damn. Like, that's literally the opening thing, like, title screen, Eeyore, what am I gonna do? Bang, done. That's it. Next character. That's what psychologically breaks Pooh and makes him go on his rampage. Yeah. He was there, splattered in brain. He saw it all. Just picking up extra stuffing to pat himself. He's part of me now. So, moving sad little part. Moving from a movie that we would all absolutely watch, I'm the only one who watched Maverick. Yeah, you're the only one who subjected themselves to that. Look, a couple of my friends wanted to go, and I'm like, alright, sure, I'll go check it out. Partially because I get to talk to about it on this podcast. And, it's... Look, I'm going to start by just talking about the stuff that is good, because I've got some rather negative things to say about this film. But I do want to praise it for the stuff that is good.
The action scenes all look really great. All the flying and dogfighting stuff is really, really well done. But from what I've been told, they got something like 800 hours of flight footage for this movie. So if you're an editor and you cannot make good action scenes out of 800 hours of flight footage, just stop editing things.
Yeah, like, at that point, give up. No.
I mean, like, at the start of the movie, they really, like, immediately dial you in with Danger Zone playing, and there's some great music choices. And
so they pluck the nostalgia string really early then?
Yes, they do.
They sort of have to get you back into it, because no one's really cared about it in a long time.
But that's basically everything nice I have to say about it. Here's all the shit I really fucking hated.
Before we get into that, though, does Tom Cruise run in this one?
Yes, he does.
He does have his long run.
He's got to get his cardio in.
Yeah. Fucking Tom Cruise.
Okay, so I'm going to be super spoilery here, so if you don't want to hear it, I'm not sure.
The podcast ends here for you.
I can't really give you a time code. I specifically did this toward the end of the podcast because it's probably going to be the last thing we talk about. The movie starts with Tom Cruise working as a test pilot for the military. He has not advanced at all in his career the entire time he has not been on screen.
Considering the numerous laws he broke in the first one, that does not surprise me.
Oh yeah, I watched a Legal Eagle video recently where he got an actual JAG lawyer on to talk about it, and it's like, oh yeah, this dude would be in prison. He is not a free man. So he's a test pilot, and they're about to have their whole thing shut down because of a drone program that wants to take their funding. And they're like, oh, they'll keep us going if you can hit Mach 10 in this super experimental jet, which was only supposed to be going Mach 9. It wasn't ready to do Mach 10 yet. But, of course, Tom Cruise is like, we can get it there, and if we get it done before the dude comes to shut us down, then, well, they can't shut us down. So
he can
launches
reach
the plane.
The danger zone?
Yeah. So he launches the plane and they do the whole thing, and of course he gets it up to Mach 10, and they're like, okay, now stop. Like, you need to stop. You've got what we need. You don't need to go any higher. But, you know, it's Maverick, so he's like, I've got to go higher. He ends up getting it up to 10.3 before the entire plane explodes in a fireball.
Wow, okay, so that's his career shot to hell.
Which he survives somehow, ejecting at Mach 10. Now, I don't know what Mach 10 would do to the human body, but given the fact that the thing looks like the Challenger spacecraft explosion, yeah, I would mostly call him dead by that, but, you know, who knows? He apparently gets out of it with the wherewithal to walk into a town and go get a cup of water and find a phone. So, you know, he comes out of it pretty much unscathed. But he just blew up a multi-million, if not billion-dollar, experimental plane that he was told to not go over Mach 10 in. Like, how the fuck anyone trusts him with jack shit after that, irrespective of the fact that in this movie...
That's a court-martialing. That's a court-martialing right there and there.
I'm pretty sure that's a firing right there. Yeah. The idea in this movie, though, is that Iceman from the first movie has risen to the rank of admiral, and has basically...
He was just as bad.
I don't know.
He didn't buzz the tower.
He's risen to the rank... He's at admiral now, and he's basically been having Mavericks back the entire time. So every time someone's like, get him out of here, Iceman's like, no. But, you know, really there's only so far before the court of military justice to be like, fuck you, admiral, we don't listen to you, boo. We're gonna go do what we need to do to this motherfucker. But, of course, he gets called back to Top Gun because they've got a super secret mission that only he's wild enough to train the pilots for. They have their dumb introductory scene with all the pilots where no one uses the name. They all use their call signs for literally no reason. And, of course, one of the pilots is Goose's son, who's the pilot, who's Maverick's co-pilot who died in the first movie.
If he doesn't get killed ejecting, the entire movie is a waste.
Yeah.
Well, I'll spoil it right now. It's a waste. Of course, his call sign is Rooster.
So he's
after that, pretty much. They have their dick character, who is a guy called Hangman, and he's called Hangman because he always leaves his co-pilot, his wingman out to dry. It's some dumb thing, but whatever. He's just supposed to be the douchebag pilot. They then do all the training to get them ready to go do this super secret, super dangerous mission where they've got to fly up a canyon, then do this super bank turn, then hit a tiny fucking target, which they refer to as a miracle shot. That they have to do twice. Because they're essentially doing the fucking shooting the reactor core hole from fucking Star Wars.
So
They've even got a trench run.
I was saying they're not even hitting womp rats in a T-16. Jeez.
No. The idea is that they have to shoot the mark once with a missile to blow it open, and then shoot a missile down the hole.
So they learned and actually put ventilation ports. Holy shit, they put a grate over the vent.
They finally learned the thing.
The idea in this one is, like, it's a rogue nation that is enriching uranium to do something with, and they're like, nope, we're going to go blow up the uranium facility before you use it.
We can't say it's North Korea.
Oh, no,
but it's North Korea.
It's not Korea. It's not Korea. It's a country that is snowy, that possesses a hind as their chopper of choice, and would use red accents pretty commonly in their color designs.
Ah. I wonder who
what
it could be.
Fucking country this is.
It's like Dora the Explorer at this point. Who could it be?
I know, right? But they never say it. They never say what the country is or who they are. All of their jets are just referred to as Gen 5 jets, so they're not tied to any country. But then they used a hind. But we're not even up to that yet. So, like,
welcome to not Russia.
They do all the training, and eventually Maverick gets grounded and kicked off and all this kind of dumb shit, and then he literally steals a jet to prove that the run is actually doable by doing it 15 seconds faster than he's been training them to do it. But he'd been fully grounded, like, you will never fly again, and then he steals a jet.
How did he steal a jet? Like,
I don't know.
It should be very difficult to just walk off the lot with one of those, right?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise
pretty
Grand
sure
Theft
that
Auto, I guess.
Yeah, also, like, most of those bases are equipped with anti-air. If you try and take one of them from them, like, just be like, alright, cool, keep going, boom! Oh, look, he's down. He's fine.
That's where the running scene comes in. It's going down the runway, he runs after it, he jumps on the wing, kicks a pilot out, and then he's in, off he goes.
Yeah,
Surely
that
that's the
makes
running
sense.
scene.
It has to be.
I forgot a little bit earlier. Like, there's a whole lot of tension between Maverick and Rooster, because
You got my daddy killed.
It's actually less that and more that apparently at some nebulous earlier point, Maverick pulled some strings to get Rooster's application to the Navy pulled and set his career back by 4 years.
Why? I killed your daddy, now I'm gonna be a dick.
I killed your daddy, and now your career.
Goose's wife asked Maverick to do it.
Okay.
Because she wanted her son to not become a pilot. And he refuses to tell Rooster this because he doesn't want him to hate his mom. But this is a big crux of, like, the movie, is this weird conflict they're having. So they have this really big intense scene where he, like, yells at him and he fucking hates him, and then they literally cut to what is this movie's equivalent of the volleyball scene from the first movie.
Oh, so everyone's happy and fun now?
Yes, but they're playing football now, not volleyball.
Oh, so now they actually get to pile on, not just stand around.
Yeah.
Yes. And then eventually, like, so after he steals the jet, the dude running the base, who, again, for some reason, just gets referred to by his call sign, which is Cyclone, or at least it's the only name I remember anyone calling him, is basically like, what do I do? Do I fire you, or do I stake my reputation on you and make you team leader? And, of course, he gets made team leader.
Fire.
He ends up running the mission, and he chooses a couple of people for Squad 1 who have to open up the hole for the Squad 2. And he brings Rooster. Rooster is yet to show any aptitude in any of the training that would actually make him qualified for this mission. The person who should be running this mission is Hangman. From everything they've shown in this movie, Rooster is not going to succeed. But it's Goose's kid, so of course he has to be on the team. And since Hangman's the douchebag, he of course has to get cut. So they, of course, head in to do the mission, and part of the preamble for the mission is they fire a bunch of missiles at the enemy airbase to stop all of their Gen 5 planes taking off. So they blow up all the hangars, and they shred the runway, and it's all fucked. Right. So the enemy only has 2 planes that were in the air before it all started to defend with. And of course the team does the fucking trench run, and then they do their fucking rollover into the valley, and they hit the target, and then they pull out and they leave. And the reason they've had to go through the canyon is because the canyon's lined with SAM sites, so they have to go under them.
Okay.
But when they leave, they'll be over them, so they have to outrun the missiles.
That's going to be a lot of missiles, though.
Rooster, of course, is
sounds
a
like a
little behind.
mission from Ace Combat. Or,
I fucking know, right?
Or
maybe that's just where they
Wingman,
pulled it from.
I think they've literally gone through, alright, now mission 6 of that game, let's build a movie. Done.
So the way it works is they have to do the trench run under all the SAM, like literally under them, like they're over the top of them as they're doing the trench run. Then they have to go up a cliff, do a rollover so they keep it tight on the cliff edge, nosedive down into the bottom of this fucking crater, and then do it's like a 9G pull-up to pull up out of the canyon and get out the other side. But the other side is over the SAM side, so they have to then try and outrun the SAMs.
So they all die.
So, what happens? Cruz goes in with his guys, they laser the target, they hit it. Rooster is behind them by a couple seconds because he was kind of freaking out, and then he was like, Dad, give me guidance. He basically used the forced loop the whole mission. And then they come up and they're like, oh no, the laser guidance isn't working. And he's just like, I'll just fucking eyeball it. And of course fucking nails it. Which is just like, they refer to these as like miracles. Like, if you were using the laser guidance, it's a miracle to hit this.
Yeah.
And he hits it unguided.
Because of course.
So they pull out, and they're making the getaway, and of course there's a really excellent action scene where they're dodging missiles, and it's all really, really fucking cool. But, of course, eventually, the missiles is coming for Rooster, but he's out of flares, so he can't get away. So Tom Cruise is like, I'll save you, and then dives his plane over the top of him, launching all these flares, and ends up getting hit by a missile. So he crashes. And they're all flying away, and of course TACCOM's like, just leave him, he's dead, you need to get out of there. And then it sort of fades to black. And then it comes back up, and it's Tom Cruise lying on a lake, in having parachuted out of his jet. And he's getting up, trying to figure out what he's going to do, and that's when the Hind D shows up and starts shooting at him, and not hitting him. And so he runs away, and dives behind a tree, which gets shot by the Hind, and it doesn't shred the tree and kill him.
How?
I know, I know it's dumb movie stuff, but, like, this movie has been predicating itself on realism, and it just threw it all out the window.
Now, what happened was he realized he was in a simulation and that trees are immortal objects and can't be destroyed.
It certainly feels that way. And, of course, just before he gets shot up again, like, a missile hits the Hind, and it's Rooster. He's come back to save him, somehow dodging all of the SAM sites to get here. I know anyone who's not critical of this movie is probably going to be like, but they shot them all trying to shoot them as they left. Well, then what the fuck was this one that shoots him down? It's really stupid. But he, of course, ejects, and this is where Tom Cruise gets his running scene, trying to run through, like, shin-deep snow in flight gear. It looks so fucking goofy. It's not, like, cool running down a highway or something, or, like, it's just, like, weird, like, moonwalk jogging through a snow-filled forest. It looks really stupid.
That sounds like a director who's like, it's in his contract, he has to have a running scene. Like, I'll give him a fucking running scene. Try and run in this, you dick.
His full cardio will just be this one run. Of course, he finds him. He's alive. They have a whole but I sacrificed myself for you, but I came back. What were you thinking? You told me not to think. It's dumb. But they meet up, and they're like, okay, well, we've got to get out of here. And this is where the movie, 100% changes. At the point where he wakes up and the Hind comes, it's a different movie, but, it completely changes after this to something else. Because this movie has been somewhat grounded. Yeah, it's a dumb action movie, and they're, pushing the limit and all that kind of shit. But what they do is they go to the airbase that was destroyed. Okay. And there's all these guys running around trying to put out fires. And they literally walk across it into the only hangar bay that isn't destroyed. And of course, it contains, I think it's an F-14, which is the plane that Maverick flew in the first movie. And they manage to, and they fuel it up and get it ready, and then they take it out onto the runway, which is destroyed, by the way, and there's only a little bit of a taxiway, and somehow it's enough that Maverick gets the plane up and off the ground and flying. This is all fucking patently absurd. They can't call anyone, and they have no radar because this thing is fucked. They get up into the air, and then those two jets that I mentioned all that while ago that haven't been around show up. These Gen 5 fighter jets. And they, of course, like, oh, that's one of our jets. So they fly up next to it, and, like, they're trying to do, like, hand signs to communicate with him because he has no radio. And, of course, he fucks it all up, and he can't sign back anything useful. And then he notices that the other jet has moved into its attack envelope to just shoot him down. At which point he, like, turns hard and, like, wipes out one of the other jets, and it starts to fall out of the air. And then the other one gets its tone lock and shoots a missile at him, and he's like, no, I'm going to dive in front of the other one, and that's going to save me. I don't know how. They were moving forward, and the other jet fell straight down. So, Magic. Physics go fuck itself.
That can basically be any movie Tom Cruise is in. Welcome to Tom Cruise, another installment of Fuck Physics!
Yeah, it's really dumb, though, because, like, again, this movie's been playing around with realism. And then he has this protracted dogfight with this Gen 5 fighter jet in this antique, comparatively. One of the things he does is he's like, oh, we've got to fly down into the canyon because then its targeting computer will be confused and it can't shoot us with its missiles. He then proceeds in the F-14 to get multiple tone locks and shoots it with missiles. How is your shittier jet got a better targeting system than the new one?
And didn't they just use targeting systems in a canyon and they weren't getting confused?
No, that was when they went into they weren't in the canyon anymore. They were dropping into and they were using laser guidance. They weren't using the tone lock function of the jet.
Yes, because pointing a laser is so much less reliable than than a computer locking onto something.
All I want in some movie somewhere is, like, the heroes in the antique think, we can still take it, and just be mowed down. Like,
I mean,
there they go.
This movie's been harping on this idea that it's got nothing to do with what jet you're in. It's the pilot. Look, to some degree that is true. A better, more experienced pilot can make more effect out of what tools they have to use. I mean, it's just an experience thing. That's, like, everything.
Yeah.
But he's not just trying to make the most of a shitty setup. He's completely outclassed by this other jet, and he's just tooling on it. It's so fucking stupid.
Does he fly? Does he at least fly upside down so he can look upside down at the pilot in the other jet?
I think he does.
It's a pretty iconic scene from the first movie, so they'd have to at least throw it in there.
I'm assuming the only reason they survive is they've basically got the equivalent of Ralph Wiggum flying the enemy jet.
Look, I mean, he does, like, wicked cool tricks in the jet that you could never do in the F-14. Like, they do this thing where, like, they try to shoot him, and then he does this, like, crazy spin, backflip, stall thing to get behind them again. It, like, even Tom Cruise's character's like, what the fuck was that?
So they're versing Russian Maverick, essentially.
Yeah, kinda. But, that's not as good as all-American Maverick.
America!
And you go through this whole thing, and, eventually he, of course, beats them. And then they're on the way out, and then he's like, we just got radar, and, oh no, there's one more. And then it's, like, right in front of them, and they try some shit, and then they're like, well, we're gonna die. And then, of course, Hangman saves them, because the douchebag has to save the day.
Yeah, did they
predicate have a redeeming
his
feature.
Change? Yeah, did they predicate the redemption in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Time?
He shows up and goes, oh, I'm good. I'm very good. He keeps being a douchebag. He doesn't stop.
Maybe just buzz past and was like, I was just coming back to shoot more shit. Yes, I'll take responsibility for this.
The whole point of this shootout, as far as I can tell, is because if you get 5 confirmed combat kills, you're considered an ace. And Maverick got 3 kills in the first movie, so he had to pick up 2 more in this movie to be considered an ace. And as far as I can tell, that's the only reason they just had this, like, if you had plucked Tom Cruise out and then picked any action star from the Expendables and put them in the jet, it would have made more sense.
Fair.
It's really It's another movie bolted onto the end of Top Gun. I don't know why. And like I've seen some people being like, "Oh, but it's a subversion of expectation and all this kind of stuff to have this whole other sequence." No, the subversion of expectation would have been if Maverick had died.
Yeah.
Because the minute he sacrificed himself, I'm like, he's not dead. They're not going to have the balls to kill Maverick. That would have been the subversion.
That would have been a really good ending. You know, Maverick is gone now. Pass the torch on to, like, Rooster, what the hell his name was.
Or if the opening scene where his plane blows up is actually a throwback to Greece and he's actually dead. This is his brain throwing out his last fantasy.
I mean, it certainly feels like it. Just him falling from the sky being like, I'm a Top Gun.
I was that good all along. Yay.
Yay.
But he gets back and they celebrate and blah, blah. You know, standard 80s style movie finisher. The one thing I've left out of this entire retelling, there's a romantic subplot.
Of course there is.
Who is it this time? Didn't he already have a wife?
It's the same girl from the first movie.
Oh.
They've just apparently had an on and off thing in the intervening time, and at the start of this movie, she's like, let's not do that, and then, like, halfway through the movie, they bang.
An on and off thing for 25 years?
Some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
It's really dumb, and, like, the fact that I got through this entire basic synopsis of the movie and didn't need to bring it up at all should tell you how fucking superfluous it is. The story isn't Maverick and this girl, it's Maverick and Rooster. That's it. That's the only characters that matter.
So, if you were to have a shot every time Maverick breaks the fucking law, how drunk would you get?
Pretty fucking drunk.
Yeah.
He makes multiple... Like, he's being pulled up all the time. I mean, the first thing he does is blow up that $1 billion jet against orders. Launching the entire thing was technically against orders, because he was supposed to wait for the other general to basically come and shut him down. He just hadn't been shut down yet, so he didn't. There's other bits where, like, he breaches the hard deck. He's pulled up multiple times for other, like, extreme maneuver, like the thing where he does the rollover and looks at the other pilot. Like, he's not supposed to do that. It's wicked dangerous.
Yeah.
And he gets chewed out for it. So, like, he's getting chewed out this whole fucking movie for basically just being this, well, for lack of a better way to put it, Maverick. And, yeah, he's an idiot. So much of the movie is Tom Cruise's character doing stupid shit and getting away with it.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds about right for that kind of generation of, like, where that movie came from. Like, remember back in the day where every single movie seemed to go around, we have this program, but this other program wants to take our funding. And normally it would revert back to, we're going to fight the other program and prove we're better. And they'd do that kind of stuff. That's what I was expecting from the start with the drone things. If you can do better than our drones, we'll let you keep your funding. But, no.
No, but just waste $1 billion jet and keep your funding.
I do want to see at some point where, like, these two programs make that bet and then the other one wins, but the army's still like, we're still going to fund the fucking drone thing over you guys. Like,
because pilots are expensive.
Yeah. Just like at some point it's like, but we won the bet. Like, yeah, you bet with the other team. I mean,
you didn't bet with the army as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, a good example is actually the mission they send these pilots on. A big part of the problem with doing it is that massive G bank at the end, because they have to, like, hard pull up, and when they're doing the training sequence, they show one dude attempting it in simulation, and he pulls too many G's and passes out. Because that happens. He's human. Guess what a drone doesn't care about?
Yeah. It's like that would be the ideal thing to put drones into at that point. It's like, we have this, like, near impossible thing to do. Send some drones. Get them to do it. It's fine.
Like, how interesting would it have been if they'd called Maverick in, a Top Gun pilot, to teach a bunch of drone pilots?
That would have been interesting, actually.
Yeah.
That would be...
Because they're going to need the same skills he has to pilot the drones, just they don't have to worry about their bodies dying, or if someone shoots it down, acceptable losses, it's a drone.
That would have been a much better movie, to be honest.
And like,
I'm not going to necessarily say it'd be a better movie, but it'd be more interesting.
well, and then to show off like his flying skills to get out of there, like the drone that he's piloting gets damaged, so it can't upload some vital intel, whatever it is, but he can still connect to it to fly it, but he has to physically fly the drone out of there through all of this shit going on.
Yeah.
At least then show some weird shit you can do with drones instead of just like, okay, we're very limited by our pilots and technology here.
They could have taken it even weirder down the rabbit hole of that one and just have Tom Cruise trying to teach an AI how to fly.
Nah, that's too far.
That'd be
I think he
hilariously
still
dumb.
needs the human element.
Like,
of
say the movie
teaching
Stealth.
people.
Didn't they already do that?
I can't remember.
I don't think I've ever seen Stealth.
Watch
I
it.
remember
You
the
want to
movie
see a
Stealth, but I can't remember
bad
the
plane
plot.
movie? Watch Stealth. And it's like...
That's right, that was the invisible plane.
No, it was a plane that's powered by... they've given it an AI and they're trying to teach it, and it suddenly decides, I don't want to be taught by you anymore. I want to be my own nation state. I'm going to kill everybody, as AIs do. And yeah, it's a typical bad, I think, early 2000s action movie, but worth a watch if you want something to burn in an afternoon.
Early
fair.
2000s. Did it involve Jackie Chan in some way?
No, it had a whole heap of unnamed actors, or they were named, of course, but unknown actors at the time.
We found random people on the street and wiped their memories. They are now actors.
2005 it was. It
God.
did have Jamie Foxx in it,
Oh, back in the dark times.
and Jessica Biel, and yeah, had a few people in it. But you want to burn an afternoon on a shitty plane movie? Watch that.
I'm always keen to burn an afternoon on a shitty movie.
Well, I mean, like Top Gun for me would fit into that category reasonably well. It's not like trash. It's probably like a 6 to a 7 out of 10. It's just that like all those cool action scenes are surrounded by drivel.
Yeah.
This is why I've seen a lot of reviews that are like absolutely glowing over this fucking movie, like best sequel ever made, and I'm like, no. There's too much stuff that isn't necessary or badly done for this to be a 10 out of 10 best movie. It just has great action. If you like action movies, it's not too bad to watch. If you want to while away a hot summer afternoon, not too bad to watch. Pretty much the only people I could think that would be absolute like, oh my god, I've got to have this movie, are like people who are like, you know, flyboy wannabes.
Yeah.
Or Tom Cruise.
I always wanted to be in the Air Force, but I could never do it. These people.
Tom Cruise
They-
is the exact person for this, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
he made this movie for
Like-
himself. That no one else.
Apparently,
I want to
it's been
fly
in the work-
planes again.
It's been in the works for apparently years. One of the big ones was Tom Cruise wouldn't sign on to it unless he got Val Kilmer in it. Except Val Kilmer had throat cancer.
Jesus Christ.
So he's in this movie, but very briefly, and says like 3 lines. Because, you know, he has throat cancer.
Yeah.
I won't do a movie unless a guy that I know has throat cancer will be in it too, and he has to speak. That's just fucking cruel.
That is a
Right.
dick
Well,
move.
it all depends how
Absolutely.
you're looking at it. It's either really cruel of Tom Cruise to make his friend do this, or it was Tom Cruise trying to get his friend a payday.
Yeah.
Well, he could have done the same thing without any speaking lines. Like, just give him
Well,
a wave.
most
and-
of their conversation is actually with him typing on a computer. But right at the end, when they get to the big emotional crux of their discussion, he stands up and says the words.
Ah.
That's why he's only got like 3 lines in the movie, because the rest of it's him typing on a computer.
He should have had a creepy Stephen Hawking voice. You are the one,
One of
Maverick.
the synthesizers. Oh,
Let it
God.
go.
Jesus.
Look, like I said, overall, it's not a bad movie. Like it's like the way I described it, it could have been far better, but it was far more fun than I was expecting, and I completely put that off the back of all of the flight footage. Like they really put the effort into that stuff to make it good.
Fair. Like, most of Tom Cruise's movies, I can't be bothered watching. I know there's more Mission Impossibles, I just refuse to watch them.
Pretty much. Like classic Tom Cruise, yeah, okay. Modern Tom Cruise, nah, go away.
It's just... I struggle to remember the last movie of his I enjoyed, and I think it was Edge of Tomorrow, and that was not because of him. It was because I got to see him die over and over again.
I'm still annoyed that, like, because we got that, we will never get All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
Have you read that, John Doe?
No, I haven't.
So the movie Edge of Tomorrow is based off a manga, which is based off a light novel called All You Need Is Kill,
Okay.
and it is significantly better.
All right. I'll track it down.
Last second, throw one more thing on the book club pile.
No, absolutely.
More books.
You said it was a light novel. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll be as an audio book, but I'll see if I can't find it on the Kindle.
I mean, like I haven't actually read the light novel. I read the manga that got made from it, and that was absolutely excellent. I mean, the dude goes through like something like 40 cycles before the girl notices he's part of the loop. And he
Nice.
does all kinds of dumb shit, and like they start training and trying to practice. There's even some scenes where they're like, "Well, let's just go do whatever the fuck we want for the day. We know it's gonna reset."
Oh, so they Groundhog Day it for a bit.
Yeah, like
Nice.
most things that have a Groundhog Day effect. Like Stargate, when they're like shooting golf balls through the Stargate.
Oh, I do love that episode where they finally give up and Teal'c finally throws that guy down the stairs.
Yeah. But yeah, All You Need Is Kill is it's good, but we'll never get it because Edge of Tomorrow took the whole idea and basically shat on it.
Yeah.
There are 12
Unfortunate.
books and All You Need Is Kill.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I don't know about that. Like I said, I read the manga that got made from it.
Might see if I can find that manga.
It's good. I would highly recommend a read. Anyway, we're out past an hour, so I think we'll wrap things up for this week. You guys have a good one.
You too, mate.
Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
See yous. Have a good one.